Folding your paper begins with folding your paper in half the hot dog way. So fold in half, use your fingers to give yourself a really good crease because you're gonna need that line in a minute. Now open your piece of paper back up, take the outside edge and fold it right up to the center line, but don't fold it over, almost touching. You're gonna take that outside edge and fold it in half one more time, right up to that middle line, but not touching. Spin your piece of paper around, do the same thing with the other side. Fold the outside edge in, up to that center line, but not touching. And then one more time, fold it in half again, give it a good crease. And then the last step is to close the strip and just run your fingers down so it's creased shut nice and tight. To start the magazine bowl, you're gonna start with one of your thin, soft pieces that folds really easily. The first 3 or 4 pieces are the hardest ones to get going, so you wanna use soft ones to make your life a little bit easier. You're gonna start off by gluing, and when you glue with hot glue, you only wanna use a little bit of glue because a lot usually ends up burning your fingers. You're gonna run a small bead of glue across the inside of the strip to close it. You're gonna run the glue almost all the way to the end, but leave the end open here because we're gonna need that to attach the next piece. This first piece is the only one that you glue shut. Once you've got this glued shut, you're gonna start on the glued end. Your open end is over here. And you're going to start to roll the end. You wanna roll this as tight and level as possible. So the top and the bottom should stay nice and flat. You can see they're not sticking out on either side. Every couple of rolls that you get, you're gonna stop, put a tiny dot of hot glue, and then continue to roll. Be careful not to get burned by that extra glue that rolls around when you roll up. So you're gonna continue to roll. Try and keep it flat, keep it tight. Every couple of rolls over, you're gonna stop, put a little dot of glue, and keep rolling. And you're gonna do that all the way to the end of the strip. When you get to the end of the strip, you're gonna take your next magazine page and you're gonna put a little bit of glue on the outside end and just a little bit on both sides. Then you're gonna take that glued end, slide it inside the opening that we left on the end of the last piece and just give it a little pinch. So you've extended your strip. So you're gonna continue doing this. Roll, roll, roll. Every couple of inches, stop. Put a little dot of hot glue. Roll, roll, roll. Again, trying to keep it nice and tight and level. This is gonna be the base of your bowl. So you want this to be nice and flat on the top and bottom, and you want it to be nice and solid. So gluing every couple of inches as you make your way down to make sure that it stays nice and solid. So you're gonna continue doing this, gluing, rolling. When you get to the end, take your next piece, put a little bit of glue on the outside and the inside, slide it into the next piece, and you're gonna keep going, and you're gonna continue doing this all the way until this roll is about the size of a hockey puck. You want it to be about 3 inches around. So I'm gonna turn the video off and I'll come back in a minute when I got that far. So once you've completed gluing your base and it's about 3 inches wide, you're gonna stop gluing the base solid and you're going to start to glue the sides. When you glue the sides, you're gonna take your strip and just like before, you're gonna put a little bit of glue. And right now it's probably even more important to put a little bit of glue because you're gonna slide it in just like we did before. But you wanna be extra careful that there's not extra glue coming out of the sides here because we're not gluing this to the roll anymore. We're just gonna wrap it around. Take your next strip, put a little bit of glue, slide in, pinch, and I'm only overlapping them by about 1 inch. And then I'm gonna wrap around. You're gonna continue doing this, glue in the next piece, and wrap, glue in the next piece and wrap. You're gonna hang on to it because the rest of the roll is just gonna be one big giant spiral. So you don't wanna glue the tail to the roll anymore. And you're gonna continue gluing all the rest of your 75 strips in until you've got them all attached to the center base. Once you've used all 75 of your pieces and you've attached them end to end, I'll spiral this out so you can see. It's just one big loose spiral. So before we finish it off, you gotta tighten it up. So you're gonna put your hand flat on top of the roll and you're gonna pull the end to kind of tighten that spiral up. You don't wanna pull the end all the way out. Pull it and give it a little twist. And every once in a while, you just wanna tap on top because when you pull, the outside edge starts to come up a little bit and you don't want it to pop apart. So you're gonna pull until the roll gets as tight as it will go before we glue it shut. So tap it back down if you feel it start to come up, and you're gonna pull until it can't get any tighter. When you can't get the roll any tighter, you're going to glue down the last about 6 inches or so of the last strip. And for this one, you wanna put a good amount of glue on there because this is gonna hold the whole thing from unraveling when you finished. So be careful not to stick your fingers in it. You're gonna glue down the last 6 inches and you're just gonna hold it for a minute because hot glue doesn't really hold until it cools off. And once I can feel that the heat is kind of dissipating here, I can let go. And then the last thing you're gonna do is glue down any little edges that are sticking out around the outside of your magazine bowl. So got another little corner over here. And just be careful to keep your finger away from the tip of the gun so that you don't get burned. All right, so we have a completed roll. My corners are glued down. I'm nice and solid. Now I'm gonna start to form the shape of my bowl. Now this is the part where you wanna take a little time and make sure that you aren't rushing. So the center of this bowl is this little hockey puck piece. That's the part we glued solid, and that's gonna be the base of the bowl that's gonna sit flat on the counter. So to form the bowl, you're gonna push down on that hockey puck, nice and slow, and fan out your sides. So I'm using my thumbs on the inside and my fingers on the outside to kind of spread apart all those rows that I spiral glued together. Now you can make your bowl as tall or short as you want, it's up to you. But what you wanna do is as you're pulling, you wanna keep an eye on your pages. If you start to see more than half of a row, you really wanna not pull on that row anymore because if this pops up, you have to rewrap the whole thing and go back to gluing. So take your time when you're shaping your bowl to make sure that it looks nice and level. You want a nice smooth edge on the side. You don't want any big lumps or chunks that you missed spreading out. And the last thing you're gonna do is set the bowl down and look at it from the side to make sure that the top looks level. You wouldn't wanna finish the bowl so that the top is crooked. So once the bowl looks like it's level, you are ready to seal. Once you've shaped your bowl, you need to seal it with a glue coating, which is going to keep the bowl from changing shape once we finished it. So you're gonna use a mixture of glue and water. It's just a really watered down glue and a big brush. and we're gonna paint the glue over the entire inside of the bowl. You wanna make sure that as you're painting that glue, that you're getting it nice and down into all those cracks, because the cracks are what need to be glued together. So paint a good coating of glue. It's gonna dry clear, so don't worry about it looking white and milky right now. You won't be able to see it when it dries. And you're gonna paint the whole inside of the bowl. After you've painted the entire inside, all the walls in the bottom, you're gonna flip it around to the outside very carefully and paint the outside. A lot of the glue that was on the inside will have run down, and you need to smooth out all of those pieces. Once all of your magazine pieces are painted and the entire bowl is wet, you're very carefully going to pick up the entire bowl, careful not to change its shape, and you're gonna go put it on the storage room shelf to dry.